Today, I'm very, very excited about the guests. We have a filmmaker from Adelaide, currently residing on the northern beaches in Sydney. He has already made a movie called The Gut Movie, and he has a new film coming out called The Longevity Film. You can find him on Instagram under @Kale's Broccoli. That is the two vegetables, I guess, kale and broccoli. KalesBroccoli. And he's also on YouTube under the same name, Kale's Broccoli. Kale, welcome to Rest Day, the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
I'm pretty excited to meet you in person. I've been watching you a bit on YouTube and stuff and some of your films. So what I want to kick off with is, as a filmmaker, what makes a good video?
Oh, I think any story, it all comes down to story. And I think Casey Neistat has talked about this a lot. You and I sort of chatted about him. I think when you hit those classic arc points in any story, you could break them down into 7 or 3. You've got the opening image, you've got the challenge, you've got the play that happens, how the character meets the challenge, and then you've got the closing image, and ideally the two should be opposite. I think if you achieve that with any sort of video or content that you produce, whether it's written or video, whatever, I think you you strike some deep ancestral chord within us that we have that, a lot of this comes back to, I think, a lot of Joseph Campbell's work and around the hero's journey and stuff.
Yeah.
I just think we're wired to appreciate those sort of stories, and it hasn't gone away, not yet.
I don't think it'll ever go away.
No, I don't think
it's
so.
in us.
I wonder where that comes from. Like, what an interesting idea.
You're so spot on, because regardless of what, like, that arch of the story, that structure has been around for so long, and if it's done well, we all still get sucked so deep into it.
I know, and you explain this to people who aren't aware of it. And you're like, oh, by the way, every Home and Away episode is the same.
That's such a fun example.
And they're like, what? I've been tricked. And I think that's where a lot of people, when we did the Gut Movie, for instance, a lot of people commented like the story. That was what it was for me. And it was like, yeah, because we appreciated the story throughout the entire thing, and it was always going to be about the story. Whereas I think a lot of health documentaries just kind of pile a bunch of health information into a film and then use library footage to cover it.
And it gets boring quickly.
It does get boring. Yeah. And regardless of how compelling the information is, if there's no story there, it does lose its flash. It does lose its touch. So I think anything that I do and anything that I will do will always appreciate that sort of story element.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. So, in reference to the Gut Movie, how did you come up with that idea, and why did you go to Namibia to collect poo?
Yeah. It was an interesting sort of idea. I actually had just done a series of interviews or something. I mean, I'll start off with my story. I got into the health space when I was about 16, so pretty early. I was diagnosed with a heart condition called supraventricular tachycardia, which is SVT. And essentially this condition would see me experiencing these arrhythmias, really strong, intense arrhythmias to the point of fainting. And this would often happen whilst I was surfing. So I would almost faint out in the ocean, amongst the waves. So it's a pretty dangerous situation to be in. So I went to the cardiologist and was diagnosed with this condition. They hooked me up to a little portable ECG monitor and put me on a treadmill and did all these tests and say, yeah, we know what that is. The only thing that we might be able to fix you with is a procedure called an ablation. And an ablation is where they wanted to enter my heart via the groin or under my arm and take a little soldering iron sort of thing and burn away a piece of the heart. So they wanted to burn the sinoatrial node, which is responsible for the electrical communication between the 4 chambers of the heart. And mine wasn't working properly, so their solution was to destroy it.
To burn it.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm 16, you're the doctor, I get it. But it seems really illogical. Like, why? I had a Toyota Camry at the time. I'm like, it's not working that well. Should we just destroy it, or can we try and fix it?
Or burn parts of it?
Yeah, So that question sort of fell on deaf ears. I said, what about nutrition? He said, nutrition's got nothing to do with it. And even still now, there's no acknowledged connection between the health of the heart and nutrition electrically. They'll talk about cardiovascular disease and cholesterol and stuff like that, but they won't talk about any electrical problems being connected to nutrition, but they indeed are. And there's actually quite a bit of research to support that. So that's where I started, and I went through that journey of researching from that point. I didn't get the procedure done. I went in the opposite direction. I worked with a naturopath for about 10 years under her tutelage and learned from her about health and wellbeing, some really basic principles. So I had stepped from there. I had a very journalistic sort of mindset at that point, and got a job at Channel 10 and worked for Network 10 on Totally Wild for 2 years as a presenter producer. And then I'd finished that. I was like, well, okay, I'm freelance now. I'm passionate about health. What am I going to do? So I ended up specializing in gut health, and I had done a series of talks and lots of workshops and was getting a bit of traction there, and did a big online event. I can't remember. It's called the Gut Summit, the Gut Healing Summit or something like that. And I thought, okay, there's a story here. And it took me so long to realize, oh, there is actually a story here. And I had been to Africa a lot because I had traveled a lot around the world. And I had a guy in Africa who I knew who ran a tour company. I said, hey, look, I know about some research happening with the Hadza in Tanzania. I said, I can't go and work with them because there was some...
And the Hadza is
a tribe in Tanzania. Dr. Jeff Leach was doing some research there on their microbiomes, and he was finding they had incredible microbiome signatures because they were having so much fiber and living a very clean, pristine life. And I said, look, is there anyone else who's doing that? I know about the sun, the bushman, if you will, and can we go and live with them? He said, actually, I know of this, this person who knows this tribe and this experience that you can go and do.
Wow.
And so I put it in his hands, and his name's Dennis Grace from Africa with Grace, and he just called, and he was on the phone to Namibia like all times a day, sending letters, all these different things. And in the end, we somehow got a production permit and all these different things to actually give us the go-ahead. And this was the time just after Mad Max had been shot in Namibia.
Oh, wow.
So they were frothing on, film and all, getting people there. And so everything was super expensive because they were riding high. But we ended up getting it done. And in the film, I go to Namibia and test my own microbiome before and after, but also sample, as you said, some of their fecal matter. Not sample it. That's probably the wrong word, but take samples of it.
And bring it back for science.
Yes, for science. It's all in the name of science. And we found some pretty sort of impressive things. My microbiome changed quite positively, and their microbiome signatures were indeed quite impressive.
Yeah, from the movie, it sounded like you had amazing results.
Yes, and pretty incredible results in 5 days.
Yeah. Did it? You mentioned it a little bit in the movie, but I don't think you got too much in detail of it. Did it revert back pretty quickly when you came back to Australia?
Yeah, I mean that was the
downside.
That was the test that we didn't do, but you presume that it would change quite quickly because when you shift environmentally so drastically, it's always going to change. The other thing that we didn't obviously put in the film is after Namibia, I did a little surf trip. So I surfed Skeleton Bay whilst I was there, but then we went across to J Bay for a surf trip, and I got so sick. I got food poisoning.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had ostrich that was, I don't know, undercooked or something. Just got so sick, like awful sick. So my microbiome would have been fried anyway, But the idea was to inspire people like, hey, you can change your microbiome. You can change it very quickly just by changing your diet and just by some really simple environmental interaction techniques, such as growing your own food and getting involved in the soil or going surfing in the ocean.
Oh, really?
That's where you pick up so many microbes from undertaking those activities. But now we live this very sterile, artificial sort of lifestyle. We don't expose ourselves to nature much anymore. That's why I think our microbiomes reflect that.
Yeah. As a surfer, I can't skip past that point that you mentioned too quickly. You just surf Skeleton Bay on that trip. Did you score?
It was like 3 foot.
But long, runny barrels?
It's long and fast. When it's small, it's fast. People don't sort of talk about that. If I was on my forehand, I would have had one of the best days of my life because I was on my backhand, so it's a really tight sort of tube. When it's that small, it's
hard to fit in.
It's
that
very hard to fit in. I think I made 2 barrels in all day.
Still, that's
pretty fun, pretty cool experience.
It looks like such an incredible spot.
Oh man, if I could shift that wave, turn it into a right-hander, far out.
Is there anything similar as a right-hander?
Yeah, mixed wave, the snake.
Oh,
yeah.
I have no idea where that is. Is that even in Australia?
No, I've heard rumors.
But that's
unsubstantiated.
Very secret, isn't it? Yeah. That's crazy. Maybe Kelly's wave.
Yeah.
Maybe they can morph
Just go in
that
the
into
pool.
something like that. I actually just heard from very good sources that wave is 50 grand a day, 50 grand US.
No, it is. A good friend of mine is friends with the owner of the WSL, one of the owners. And yeah, indeed, 50 grand a day.
Mate.
Worth it though, right?
Yeah, well, what was your budget for the Gut movie?
It probably would have blown out on that.
Okay.
I think we spent on paper, it was probably 160 grand or something like that, including wages. And then, tangibly, it's probably more like $70,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we got nothing back from the government or anything.
I wanted to ask about that. How did you fund that? Because that was your first feature documentary, right?
Yeah. We did the Gut Healing Summit just before. I think we made like $60,000 or something on the Gut Healing Summit, which if I was a more sensible and intelligent person, I'd probably just sit back and go, sweet. That's my income for the year.
Yeah.
But instead I was like, no, let's pour this into a film.
Yeah.
And just took all that money, put it into the film, ran out of money halfway through, and then had to start taking ticket sales. Pretty much the same thing as what we're doing now, to pay for the rest of the film to get done.
Yeah, wow.
And then we did a re-release because there were a few things that needed fixing after we did the first run. And then did a re-release online, and now we're going through all the distribution. I just had a talk on the phone now with distribution stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
It's 2 years and I'm still talking about that stuff on the phone.
It's crazy.
It's so
it
painful.
sounds stressful to me.
It can be, but I think there's an element of control. So I think all the studies suggest that when you're exposed to stressful experiences, the key factor is whether you feel like you're in control or not.
And
I feel like I'm in control now. I mean, especially with this film. The last film this time 2 years ago was a stress because we didn't shoot enough. We didn't get enough coverage. We're sorting out.
With the Gut movie?
Yeah, in Namibia. This is my first time. I'd shot for Totally Wild, but it was just a totally different experience making a film. And we didn't have enough coverage. We had all these different codecs and we were dealing with different formats and stuff in the edit.
Oh.
And I was getting animations done and we were getting sound mixes that didn't work and all these different things. Whereas this time, because I was so prepared and probably over-prepared, this process, the post-production process, has been so much easier on the longevity film. Just feel like I'm more in control. Yeah. And it's like, oh, we need all this. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I expected that. So.
You know what you're doing this time. So, I mean, the Gut movie must have gone well in a lot of ways because you did, as you mentioned, decide to jump into another feature documentary called the Longevity Film. Tell us a little, and that one is not out yet. I haven't seen it, but I think it's being released later this year. It's going to do a national tour, something like that.
Yeah.
Tell us the story about why you wanted to jump back into another project and what it's all about.
Oh, I don't know. We did the tour for the Gut movie. We sold out, I think, 50 shows and made all the money back plus some more. So again, same thing, sensible person, invest the money, do something. But instead me, I'm like, another film. So I poured all the money. So probably double the budget on this one. Went to Okinawa in Japan, Loma Linda in California, and Ikaria in Greece. And those are 3 of the 5 blue zones around the world. So longevity cultures where...
And one of them is in California.
Yeah, which is incredibly interesting with no geographical border or anything like that. No natural separation between the Western world besides the undercurrent of their faith there. So they're a Seventh-day Adventist community. Wow. Which is incredibly fascinating. And that's, I mean, I think naturally we're all sort of... piqued by these curiosities around the world. And for me, that's probably the most exciting thing ever is looking at unanswered questions and going, hey, what's going on with these cultures? I mean, the other 2 cultures that we didn't visit, just because, again, we're going the 3-act structure sort of thing, is Sardinia in Italy and the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. And these are all regions where the average life expectancy is about 10 years longer than us in the West or anyone else outside these regions. And they have a fraction of the disease rates that we have. So they've got, in Loma Linda, it's about 80% less heart disease for the men and 100% less for the women. It is similar rates with cancer. And again, no geographical separation between these guys and the rest of the Californian population.
I mean, in LA, it would be completely different.
Exactly. Yeah, crazy stuff. In Greece, in Ikaria, there's almost no Alzheimer's or dementia at all. no words for depression and anxiety. In Okinawa, I was singing karaoke with 95-year-olds and dancing with 100-year-olds, crazy stuff. So these are commonalities in these regions, not anomalies like they would be here.
Yeah.
So we went to document that entire experience, and this is coming from me, who I think after doing a lot of this research and sort of looking at things on a micro perspective. So, hey, microbiome, let's dive in and get real specific. To zoom out was a big challenge for me because I was living in a way that was like scientifically supported, rigid. Okay, I'm going to meditate 20 minutes and then race into this busy day, stressful day. But because I meditated, it's fine. I'm going to have my cold shower and then do the sauna, and do all these different health hacks.
Take your greens. And
I'm going to do my green smoothie in the morning and all these different things. So to go to those cultures where they totally do not follow any of those rules and totally throw myself out of my comfort zone is actually kind of more entertaining, I think, than you would expect. At least on camera, not for me originally.
Okay.
So to look at what these guys are doing and sort of use my own journey as the avatar throughout the documentary, I think has worked really well. And we just had some incredible experiences.
I mean, I don't want you to give away anything from the movie. I want people to go and watch it. People that listen to this podcast, I think, will be interested in that kind of topic. But it sounds like it has more to do with the social aspect.
Definitely. Major component. And I mean, we found that there are established commonalities between these cultures. And I think the Nat Geo team and the Blue Zones team did the original research and should be attributed for that. But what I noticed that there were 4 main pillars that they were appreciating that really stood them in good stead to benefit from, to live a long time and live well. Remember, we're not just talking about adding 10 years to your life. We're talking about 95 years of solid, good years where you do not get sick and then you fall asleep and you don't wake up.
Not surviving, but thriving.
Totally thriving. That's what these cultures are doing. And so, the 4 main things that I sort of have grouped everything into is nutrition, community, movement, and attitude. So attitude, and encompassing attitude, you would have your mental health and your stress and those different things. Yeah. But there's such a deep crossover between those 4 pillars, and that's kind of what we're exploring with their nutrition. That there's no real consistency besides they eat a whole foods and largely organic diet. But in Loma Linda, it's not totally organic. Yeah. But in Ikaria, in Okinawa, apparently in Sardinia, in Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, they do a lot of growing of their own food. Yeah. And when I asked them, I was like, hey, do you use any sprays? What, do you use any chemicals to help you? They're like, no. What? That's dangerous. Why would we poison the soil or poison our kids? Yeah. So there's a big emphasis on organic, but other than that, it's like, hey, it's a strict, very Mediterranean diet in Greece, a different diet in Okinawa. They're having some rice. They're doing traditionally a lot of sweet potato. They're having a lot of seaweed, which happens to be an incredible longevity food. Oh, wow. And in Loma Linda, they're mostly vegetarian or pescatarian, some vegans nowadays. So having lots of vegetables, but they're quite into their organic scene. Yeah. Totally weird. Awesome. just trying to identify these things and talk about them from the social element, from the community element. They're coming together around healthful activities all the time. Yeah. They have anchors in place that are inherent within their culture that bring people together consistently. In Okinawa, for instance, they're having moais, which are meetings where they get children together at like 4 years old. And they say, okay, these 5 kids are going to be friends for life. And what they do, they have regular catch-ups throughout their life.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's incredible. It's like
community gatherings.
Yeah, literally. And I think it's honoring those and we'll just come back to where we started this conversation, those deeply ingrained elements or needs that we all have, whether it's from a story perspective, but also from a community perspective. We need to feel safe and like we matter and like we're loved and like we can be ourselves and we need to be able to love other people and care for them and offer service to them as well. Yeah. I think that's what these cultures are doing in a big way, whether it's at a moai in Okinawa, or a church service in Loma Linda, which I attended, or in Ikaria, it might be at a panigiri, which I also attended, which is a big sort of festival where they all just dance and drink red wine and sing, and it's an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And they're eating meat they're having fish in Okinawa, they're having pork in Okinawa, or they might have some warthog or whatever, bush pig, and then a bunch of other stuff. And in Ikaria, they're doing a lot of goat. So there's all these different studies, people are always trying to study like, this food will save you. And it's like, holy crap. Like I've been looking at all these things and I'm missing the big components. They're moving every day. They're not necessarily going to the gym, but they're moving every day. They're walking a lot. They're bending down a lot. They're going through all those natural motions that turn out to be key for helping us live a long time and not fall over and fracture our hip, which causes a lot of people to die early.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think inherently within these cultures, they're ticking off all the boxes to reach a ripe old age. And I think that leads us to go, hey, can we copy what they're doing in a modern society with this many people? No. But can we reapproximate it and get closer to it? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I think that's where we're going with the film. It's like, how do we do that? And how much impact is this going to have? Because right now we have 50% of all children with a chronic health disease. We have now people being born who are expected to have a lower life expectancy than their parents. And to be totally a burden on the healthcare system throughout their entire lives. We can reverse that just by appreciating these very simple things.
Yeah.
It's not about genetics. If we look at the Danish twin study that was published a long time ago, I don't know when, it identified that only aging and disease was about 20% genetic. The rest of it's lifestyle and what you do. So we're really in control.
Yeah.
We need to just
we can do a lot.
Things. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's such a good point that you went through there, because living in a city like Sydney, it's so easy to become more secluded to everyone else. People think, oh yeah, I want to be by myself. I work hard. I want to sit at home and just watch Netflix and eat dinner, and I don't want to be social for this and social for that. Or then if they do go out to socialize, it's more about getting a photo for Instagram or showing off something on the Insta story. Whereas one of the main reasons that I find that I enjoy going to the gym now is actually for the actual community aspect of it. We have a great gym where you pretty much know, well, not pretty much, you know the first name of everyone that's there, and it's probably 100+ members. And you're there to train, yes, but you're also there just to chit chat and just to hang out with people after. And that, it took me a long time to realize that maybe not the biggest benefit is just to lift weights or whatever at the gym, but it's actually just to meet all these people and hang out.
And people can find that in different areas. So if you're not into the gym, I don't love the gym. If you're not into the gym, it could be your yoga class. It could be your surf community. It could be the people you go and see when you go and have coffee in the mornings. It could be
something with art and being creative as well.
Totally. There are so many different excuses for us to get together, but we don't appreciate them anymore because we don't have the time. Because we're told we don't have the time, and we're allowed to use that excuse. And really, I think it comes down to priorities.
Yeah.
We are totally in control of how we spend our time. And if we are not able to drop a day at work, or we're not able to shift our work around to liberate our 3-day weekend or whatever, just to spend more time doing these healthful activities that also happen to be really fun and bring a smile to your face, then we're going to ignore those things, and we're going to suffer the consequences, I think, continually until we appreciate them.
But a big problem now as well is, even just thinking about the last dinner I had out, is that this is a social gathering. It's like 8 people out for dinner. And almost everyone's on their phone.
The phone
ruins it.
Thing.
It ruins the community aspect.
So you bring in some stakes there, and you just sort of talk about it, and you say, okay, look, phones are going in the middle. First person to touch it pays for dinner.
We do that with some of our friends. We do that all the time.
It's that whole thing.
You have to do it.
It's just being very cognizant of when you use your phone. It's not mindlessly scrolling through whatever or flipping between pages. It's putting it away. It's being very conscious, because social media, it's great. It's built my business. I appreciate it, but it's also incredibly isolating. If we look at the latest research, they say loneliness it's a new epidemic, right? It's worse than smoking, obesity, and substance abuse.
Yeah.
And so many people are feeling lonely. And yet our current approach is to alleviate that feeling of loneliness by looking at our online community.
Yeah.
When that's never, or talking about loneliness and mental health with our online community, which
Such a
does
good
not
point.
help.
Such a
Okay,
good
it
point.
might increase awareness, but it doesn't alleviate the problem. Okay, the solution to that problem is to put the phone away and go and talk with someone who you trust and who you can have a good conversation with. Even just having this conversation here, where this is like taking a health supplement right now.
Yeah.
You know?
I've said this before on the podcast, but one of the main reasons why I started the podcast is to have a proper conversation where no one's ever going to be on their phone. And we chat for an hour. I mean, we've never really met before.
Hang on, I'm just going to check Instagram.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a photo for the podcast. No, but it is incredible to do this instead of, even when I catch up with someone for a coffee, I consciously try and not pick up my phone, but it's still in the back of your head sometimes. It's like, oh, I should have checked this, or I got a message from someone, I've got to have a look. But some people are just on there all the time.
I know.
It's scary.
It's a younger generation. I do worry. My sister's only 14 years old, and I sort of worry about what's she doing?
Yeah.
She's on it. And that's sort of, they've been built up, they've been brought up with knowing that it's right there and it is at the forefront of their mind. But I also find that it's a very easy habit to break.
Yes.
When, I always delete the Instagram app, and I haven't had Facebook app on my phone for, I don't know, years.
Yeah.
But I always delete the Instagram app for probably 3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Just to break the habit. Because I know if I leave it on there, I'll check it.
Yeah.
If it's like having almond butter in the cupboard.
You don't want to be bored. You just have a look.
Exactly,
that's what people do.
But I think if we look, what I notice in these longevity cultures is they bring such a strong present state awareness to every activity they do. And they don't just laze around like in Ikaria, for instance. They're not just having naps and chilling and smoking cigarettes all day. They are working hard. Like they're working physically in the garden, for instance, for 12 hours a day and then coming back and cooking for the restaurant. But I think the difference is they do all this not to liberate their weekend or spend money on the weekend. They do that. There's nothing else they'd rather be doing.
It's a purpose for them, right?
It's a purpose. And they're so deep within those moments and to be able to be there and see the man cave that one of these guys had at his farm, where he goes and he sits and has coffee, puts a little bit of grappa in the coffee, which is, like vodka, like strong vodka, puts that in the coffee, maybe smokes a cigarette or whatever. You're breaking all the rules, right? Coffee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. Circadian rhythm all out. Yeah. and to see the energy that he brings to life and he's 60 years old, but looking like a 45-year-old, just like incredible stuff. Yeah. Of dancing until 4 a.m. at the Panagidi and then getting up at 7 o'clock the next day to cook everyone breakfast.
I can't do that.
I know, right? I'm like there, it's 11 o'clock, man. I'm so tired. My adrenals are out.
Oh, mate, 8:30, I'm out.
So to see that, I think that there is this neurochemical cascade and orchestra that occurs when we bring a deep state of presence to everything that we do. And it's like Thich Nhat Khan. I think that's his name. Okay. Anyway, he talks about washing the dishes to wash the dishes. Yeah. Instead of washing the dishes so you can go watch Netflix, wash the dishes to wash the dishes. And this is something I've really had to reappropriate. I think I did this really well because I grew up without social media. I didn't get social media until I was probably 18 or 19. So I think a lot of my neuro pathways were sort of set. And when I finished school, I went off traveling in my van and went surfing around Australia, and lived in Byron and did the whole vagrant thing for a while. And I think that allowed me to go, hey, okay, this is how you live slowly or a little bit slower than what we're living now. This is how you bring a more considered and more contemplative approach to life, as opposed to just reacting and losing yourself and going, hey, where did the day go? Yeah. It's going, okay, cool. I'm going to enjoy this process. I know it's an obstacle right now, but I'm going to work my way through it and enjoy it, like editing the film. I could easily be sitting here going, I can't wait until the tour starts and this whole thing is over. Yeah. But then what? Yeah. Then I'm going to be in the tour and I'm going to be going, I can't wait till the tour's over and I can just spend this small amount of money that I make. Yeah. So I think surfing, coming back to tools to bring you back to presence, things like yoga and being in the gym, and flow state activities like surfing and yoga, or working out or participating in snowboarding or whatever. I think those are going to be really powerful anchors to actually bring that back away from technology,
Yeah. I mean, I think surfing is a perfect example because you're sitting in the water. It might be a big lull between sets. There's no phone out there and you kind of just have to wait for the wave to get there.
Yeah.
So you're in your own head, which is great.
Yeah. Or you're chatting with friends.
Yeah.
You know, who are out there surfing with you.
Yeah. Or someone you've never met before and you're like, it's 20 minutes to the next wave gets there. You're like, how are you going?
Yeah, this guy's weird, but I'll do it. Sure. I'm up for it. Yeah.
What was I going to ask before? I did want to ask a little bit more about the longevity film and the production of it all. How many people were you guys traveling around to these locations, and what was it all? What was that experience like behind the scenes?
Yeah, people think it's like, oh, so you had a sound guy, camera guy, second camera guy, producer. No, no, it was me and a camera guy. So
two of you.
Yeah, just two of us, and then we would. In Okinawa, we obviously needed someone to translate and organize things because it's such a big language barrier. So we had an on-the-ground producer there we worked with. I had a producer I have a full-time business manager who's also sort of a producer who works for me from Adelaide in his home office there. So he was doing a lot of stuff like organizing. But then, once I got to California, it was pretty hectic. It was just me and the camera guy. And I was booking Airbnbs, mid-flight.
Wow.
The way, all these crazy things. So that part of it for me was quite stressful.
Yeah.
And I think that has really led me to go, hey, no more self-funding. Because, the limitations that you have to place on yourself when you do have a limited budget are just too gnarly in terms of the health consequences. I don't want to be freaking out about whether we're going to get accommodation or whether this person has cancelled their interview and now I have to reschedule them next week, but I know I'm going to be really busy next week and I've got to reshuffle. I don't want to do that shit. I'm the creative. I don't want to do the logistical stuff. So I think, the big misconception is we had a big team, but mostly it's just me and one camera guy. I had the same camera guy for Okinawa and then Okinawa and California, and then a different guy for Greece.
Yeah.
And then we'd come back and I'd do the rough edit, and then I'd pass it on to an editor to flash it up a little bit.
So is it your camera that you guys are shooting with?
Yeah,
so you get the same camera throughout?
Yeah. We've got a production camera.
And what are you guys shooting on?
A Sony FS7 Mark II.
Yeah.
Which I'm selling. Anyone want to buy it?
Oh, wow. What are you buying?
No, I'm going to downscale because I don't want to self-fund anymore. If we do this, I'm working on some narrative pieces for next year. So, more traditional TV shows.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fund it myself. I don't want to take on that responsibility. I want to be in the show. I want to be on camera. I don't want to have to be thinking about all the logistics while I'm being on camera again.
Got to wear a lot of hats when you do that. Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is in the future, bring people in.
Yeah.
Bring people in who have a red or whatever and can shoot on a red and just, someone else is paying their day.
I thought you said downscaling.
Well, no. Downscaling in between films.
Okay.
So for me at home, I'm going to buy an old FS700 because it's got the 240 frames per second.
Yeah.
And use that for all our surfing productions.
For the slow motion with the surfing. Yeah.
And then just, you GoPro and stuff. It's fine.
Yeah. So this is for your YouTube channel and for the surfing stuff.
Just for the YouTube stuff, which is your tick along stuff.
Yeah.
In between. Ideally, one day it's all the same, and there's this consistent flow of bouncing between surfing and film and all these different things. But right now you're interviewing me at 28.
You're 28.
I wanted to be there by now, but I'm not. I'll probably have to wait a couple of years, I think.
Yeah. Well, sorry, where did you want to be? What are you saying there?
I just want to be...
the goal?
I don't even know how to, which is probably a problem, right? No, I want to actually be in demand. So I don't feel like I have to generate my own work, which is what I've been doing. I want to put things in motion from the seedlings and then watch it grow via a great creative team because I don't want to do all this on my own anymore.
It's tough to do it by
yourself. It's so hard. And I think it puts unnecessary burden on me. And, my health suffers. Like when I was in California, I was so sick. On this trip. It was ridiculous. So, which was quite poignant and significant from a story perspective because, this is that dark night of the soul. It's me going, okay, what I'm doing is not working. I'm looking at these cultures who have extreme wellness and longevity, but in doing so, I'm destroying my own wellness.
You're getting run down.
Yeah. So that was a big moment for me, but I just don't want to do that anymore. I want it to be easy because I want it to be more conducive to flow because when you're in flow, everything works a lot better. It's more creative. It's more interesting.
As your movie is aptly, or your film is aptly named, you got to have longevity, right? So
you do.
It's super important. And I think because I'm in the video industry as well and making videos, and there's so many people now that are making a decent living just by creating their own content on YouTube. But what a lot of people don't realize is that they look at their lifestyle and this dreamy life that they've created for themselves. By the looks of it, they travel to these amazing locations, etc., but they're just running themselves dry behind the scenes because it's so much work, so much traveling, so much uncertainty with their finances that it just doesn't work for a long time. And some of them are starting to talk about it now.
Yeah, it's YouTuber burnout. It's like a hashtag, you know, it's a trending hashtag.
That's right.
But I guess it's one of those things that I've found that I have to balance my ambition with slowing down, and I almost have to give up certain elements of that ambition or compromise on them, at least in an interim. Otherwise, I will burn the wick too fast.
Yeah.
You know, I think we do have a certain amount of wick.
Yeah.
I think to live by.
Getting sick is a perfect example of that. I think usually when you get sick, unless it's, you know, a flu that's going around or something that everyone can get, usually when you get sick, it's for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's a sign, you know, it's just a symptom, your body saying, hey, slow down, look after yourself. So yeah, I think I'm in that space where I'm realizing that and going, okay, hey, how can I make this happen without sacrificing my health, without destroying my finances once every 2 years, you know, and living, well, I don't even get a paycheck. So I don't know, just living week to week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the ideal is, you know, try and find a really good team at Netflix or someone in America or whatever who say, hey, we like your work. We'll give you some money and you can do this properly. I don't care if I'm in control. You know, I love working with really good people.
Yeah.
It's just finding those people is sometimes difficult.
Most productions is definitely more than one person or more than one talented person.
Yeah. And I love being just on camera and someone yelling from off camera, hey, try this.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a control freak. I'm just in control by default at the moment because I can't pay anyone else.
Well, I think this is a good time then to ask, well, it's going to be a twofold question. The longevity film isn't out yet, but it's out soon. After that, do you want to make another movie? And is there a dream project in the pipeline that you're thinking of that you want to make?
I mean, I've got projects the next 10 years if I had the resources. But I do want to work on a project next year that's a TV show set in the 1970s in outback South Australia, which is based on where I was born. It's a town called Port Augusta.
Oh, wow.
So if anyone's a philanthropist or whatever wants to fund this thing, but we'll probably go through the normal channels now that I've got 2 films under my belt. We can probably qualify for some funding. And that's just a more sort of a narrative and drama.
Drama,
you know, almost dark comedy. And just to break it all up, because I don't want to be known as the health documentary guy either.
Yeah.
I love health and wellness. I think it's interesting, but I also am probably more passionate about story in general.
Yeah.
When I go to the movies and I see a good film trailer, I get tingles. You know, and I'm like, I want to be in that. I want to be involved in that somehow. I want to be on set. You know, all my YouTube list is like behind the scenes, Peaky Blinders, behind the scenes, Sherlock Holmes, like all these, you know, all the different movies and films that I love. So I think that's where I want to be. Yeah. And, you know, I've got movies, ideas. Again, I've got 10. You know, whether they're viable or whether they'll ever happen, I don't know.
Anything that stands out that you're thinking like this?
Yeah, there's one disaster film that I want to film in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but obviously CGI is needed and all these different things. That's probably, you know, $10 million budget one. Yeah. But that's the sort of the peak, right?
Yeah. What, is it a natural disaster?
Yeah, based on one that actually happened.
Oh, really?
I can't say more than that.
Okay. I was just, I got the feeling you didn't want to reveal the idea too much. That's fair enough. Yeah. So you want to do more acting, like straight acting type of stuff?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
What is that industry like in Australia right now?
So it's so funny how quickly it all changed. I probably got in at the wrong time, but to be a blonde hair, blue eyed Caucasian is probably you're at the bottom of the list now. Yeah. Which is, you know, fine. Like we had our time. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting just navigating that. I just got rid of my agent and sort of shifting through all that because, you know, that wasn't really working for me. And I think a lot of it, surprisingly, is not so much about luck. It's about how you drive it. And I'm fine with coming up with a story and going from concept to production and then handing stuff over. So I think that's probably where I'll end up going, as opposed to someone going, "Hey, do you want to be on Home and Away?" And you look at that opportunity retrospectively or hypothetically, and you go, would I take it anyway?
Yeah.
Because, you have to look at story and where you want to be. It would always be a mid-step.
Yeah.
But that's the space, such a weird space.
It's been a stepping stone for a lot of actors, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, massively. If you look at what Hemsworth has done with this Home and Away experience, and I think they get so good because they shoot so much content in such a small amount of time. And that's probably comes back to where we were talking about the value of doing it rough in the beginning, and building your own momentum and experience.
Yeah.
Going through the hard times so that when you get to the good times, you're ready.
Yeah.
You're
it's
like
easy.
switched on. It's easy.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to live in a way that goes, appreciate this, even though it seems like a struggle. Appreciate it because you look back and go, man, those were the times.
Yeah.
And one day, I'm sure, I think it just happens to people who are committed to what they do. I think you do get the opportunities, and it just ends up being, do you capitalize on them or not?
Yeah.
We'll probably move to LA, to be honest.
I was just going to say, isn't that's kind of what you have to do?
It has to happen, So I think next year we'll probably move, my girlfriend and I will move to France because I love France. And there's good surf and there's good wine and good people. So we're going to move to France for a bit, and then if I can get my green card after doing these 2 films and with my background, move to LA.
Yeah, wow. So to make it over there, or to at least get started over there, is that the journey of getting on an agency, just start shooting ads and stuff maybe? I don't know. Where would you start with
I don't know the story. I don't want to shoot ads. It's like, do I go in there and be a diva and be like, no, not doing that? Yeah. Or do I go in there and just say, okay, use me? Well, I'm not desperate. I'm not tied to put my face on screen. I'm tied to the story. I look at good stories and I go, man, that makes my heart ache. I want to be involved with that.
There's so many cool stories out of Hollywood as well, though, with people that had that attitude where they just had this really good script with a great story and they didn't need a massive budget. They actually had a pretty small budget, and then they end up making these awesome movies.
That's the thing. You don't need a huge budget these days. You can shoot a proper film on a 5D.
Wasn't Napoleon Dynamite one of those, I think?
I think so. If you look at Superbad.
That's
Jonah
right.
Hill and Evan Goldberg did with Superbad.
Yeah.
That was a pretty low budget, and they made a killing because it was an amazing story,
and it kickstarted their career.
Hilarious, and it kickstarted their career. So there's opportunities, and who knows? Maybe doing this Outback show will be that for me, or maybe it'll be a flop, or whatever. I think I have to be tied to the process as opposed to the outcome.
Yeah. Can you do an American accent then? I think you have to learn that as well.
I have had a lot of training in it, but I'm not going to embarrass myself by doing it.
It's one of those skills I wish I could do. Having a podcast is like doing impersonations and accents and stuff, and I've got no chance. I've got to survive without it, I think.
Yeah. I think the accent thing is often secondary now, because you see a lot of shows where people just use their own accents and they come up with an excuse. They'll be like, oh no, he's from Australia. He moved to America 6 years ago.
It might be easier maybe to do it when you move over there.
Yeah, when you're surrounded. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're surrounded by it, it's not too bad. It's a lot.
That's pretty good.
It's a lot easier. that's as far as I'll go.
I actually just watched Idris Elba, an interview with him, and he when he auditioned for The Wire, they were just going to cast people from Boston. And they were very strict on that. And someone said, like, you have to go and do this audition. You'll be perfect for the role. And he just full on had the right accent and didn't even tell anyone after, I think, his 3rd audition.
Oh, wow.
And then they put him on the spot and he had to like reveal it. Oh, I'm from
English.
London. Yeah. He has a very strong London accent as well.
Have you seen Turn It Up Charlie or whatever it is, his show on Netflix?
No.
It's about his DJ.
Oh, he does DJ as well.
It's about his DJ sort of career, I think. I think it's based off a lot of truth.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. It's good.
He's such a good actor.
Oh, he's brilliant.
He's amazing.
And you look at someone like that and you just see the joy that he brings to the job. And I think that's someone who just totally deserves to be there.
Yeah.
It's an industry like that where you've got people who arrive there because they're social influencers or whatever. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I aspire to be one of those guys who's like, he loves his job.
Yeah.
You see them on set and they're just having a ball and shooting good stuff. It's like
You do watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
so much.
Because it
Probably not
always
good
looks
for me.
like it always looks like they're just having the best job ever.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, did you watch the behind the scenes for the last season of Game of Thrones?
No.
It did not look like that a fun job.
Well, yeah, they ruined it.
Oh, they just, well, that was one thing, but they just had the craziest work schedule. Some of the scenes were, the major fight scenes were all at nighttime. So
Staying up all night kind of thing.
for 30, 40 days.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were just like, if I had the choice, I would never do this again. So
Wow.
it's not all, it's not all fun times on those movie shoots.
I don't think it is in anything.
I think it's really tough.
We always hear about the highlights. If you want an easy life, you just make a little bit of money, set up some passive incomes. I could live off passive income, with YouTube and the online businesses that I've set up.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Do you have a passive income from YouTube now?
Yeah, YouTube, my online stores, my online courses. I could live fine.
That's mad.
How
does it work with YouTube? Do you get a check in the mail?
No, they just transfer it straight into your account.
So you can register an Australian account and they transfer.
Yeah, just go straight across.
That's sick.
I think there's a tag on there. It says like Asia, Google Asia or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
I guess we fall under that umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ad revenue is not amazing though.
Yeah, you need a lot of views, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to take a wild guess on, I think at the height when I watched a lot of Casey Neistat movies or videos on YouTube, I would say he would do one video a day and they probably average 1 million plus views each of them.
He's done pretty well.
He's done very well. So let's say he has 10 million views a week.
Yeah.
How much do you reckon he makes a week then?
Well, it's hard because you've got those 10 million views, but then you've got also trailing views on all his back content.
Yeah.
So he's still earning off the first video that he uploaded.
Yeah.
So it kind of only can increase, right? But I would know. It would be a wild
crazy.
guess. But you sort of put it as $1,000 per million views.
So he could, just from the videos he made that week, published that week, he could make 10 grand a week.
Yeah, if he's uploading 10. You look at someone like PewDiePie.
Yeah,
he's doing 24 million views on his wedding video. That's like 24 grand paid for his wedding, probably.
It's so crazy.
Or at least a little bit of it. Yeah, but I think in that space, it's more the endorsements and the back end stuff.
Yeah, for those that level of YouTuber, they just
yeah.
That is insane. Do you look at that and think like, well, I want to have a stab at something like that?
I don't know. The YouTube thing is kind of interesting because it's been successful. I kind of go, oh, okay. I'm not that attached to it. It's more what it enables me to do, which is surf for a living, which I could do. So I don't know, maybe I'll explore that as my consistent thing.
Yeah.
Because film and all that's never going to be consistent.
Well, it's much more out of your control. Whereas if you do surfing and YouTube, it's a lot more in your control, right?
So you can upload content when you want. So that will probably be my next step is playing around with the surfing stuff on YouTube and applying my cinematic skill set to surfing tutorials. Like it's interesting for me. It's fun.
Yeah.
So that's why I would pursue it, not for the increase in Instagram followers I get from having a successful YouTube channel.
Or does that kind of flow on from there?
Yeah, with How to Rip, it's been this year since I started committing to doing cinematic tutorials, like proper stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've probably doubled my Instagram or something.
Oh, wow.
Just by going, hey, join me on Instagram at Kale Broccoli.
Yeah.
One line.
Because you're getting, with How to Rip, there is quite a lot of views on there. And I've followed it for a little while and it has improved a lot in quality. Like you've got more drone stuff and more, different angles, I'd say. Yeah. Is that something that you enjoy doing and you want to kind of keep pushing? How many tutorials can you make?
I know, that's the thing. You kind of have to refine it and find new ways to explain the same things. But, I do surf coaching as well on the side because purely out of requests. Not
Oh,
because
wow.
I wanted to start a business, but I just kept getting all these requests
From YouTube?
from YouTube followers.
Yeah.
And here in Sydney. So I've got this large body of people who come up and see me and whatever.
Wait, so I'm curious about that. So people in Sydney watch your How to Rip channel.
Yeah, I guess they watch videos and they're like, "Hey, Kale, do you coach people?"
Can you do one-on-one or something?
Yeah. And I was like, sure.
What's that experience been like?
It's been fun because
Yeah.
it refines my message and goes, "Hey, what are people struggling with?"
Yeah.
Which is so much better to provide a solution than to create a problem and then provide a solution. I think if the problem's already there, you can just fill that need. It's so much easier. If the demand is there, it's so much easier rather than creating the demand. Yeah.
And the need is to get barreled.
Well, people just want to get better. People want to get tubed, right?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
I want that feeling.
For sure.
Did you like my little GoPro the other day?
Yeah, that was sick from Little Ave. Yeah, I haven't surfed that wave.
But
That's
you
on my
can't name
backhand.
it.
Oh,
Name
sorry.
that spot.
Well, they don't know which one it is. So
Okay,
which video we're referring to. I think Little Ave is pretty famous.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Kelly used to have a house there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And he used to surf. Well, he famously surfed Deadman's and got on the cover of Sydney Morning Herald. And from what I've been told, he paddled out of this awful spot to paddle out. He didn't paddle out the right spot and snapped a little bit of his fin off and still just got pitted out.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, crazy.
Crazy.
You watch those guys in real life and they're just, it's so much better. They're even better than watching them on camera.
Yeah.
You see them in real life, like we were with Chloe and at Trestles, Chloe Andino.
Oh, wow. Watching him surf there.
The flow, the way
Speed.
he paddles, the speed. Oh, man.
Yeah. I've seen a few good surfers live, and the one thing that really stands out for me is the speed.
Yeah.
Shit is just going so
the
fast.
Sound, right?
Yeah. Swoosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what you want to try and capture on film. I think that there's two
How do you do that?
two artistic elements to that YouTube channel, and that's the surfing part, which has always been my art since the age of 10, and then the capturing of it.
Yeah.
Which has only been a more recent thing. Hard to do. There's a lot of sound
difficult.
mixing and ramping and slowing down involved.
Have you seen Leroy Ballett?
No.
He's this kid from the Central Coast. I'm calling him a kid. He's a much better videographer than I'll ever be. But he specializes in surf, and I think he's 16, maybe he's 18. So he's quite young. He's still at school.
Yeah.
And he gets towed in a lot behind the surfer.
Oh, yeah.
And he has like a $10,000 red camera.
Yeah.
And holds it. I mean, it's handheld, but it's a pretty heavy camera, so it's still pretty stable. And he basically gets tucked into these waves. He's filmed chopes.
Yeah.
And there's no way he's getting out of that wave. He's taking one on the head regardless. But the angle he gets is incredible.
Actually, I believe those guys went out west back home in South Australia.
Oh, really?
And did some stuff out there.
Yeah, he's featured a lot on the Red Bull YouTube channel.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. You should get him to make your YouTube video.
Oh, yeah, I know. And maybe there is maybe in the future I'll try. I think, with any partnership, you've got to have one partner's got to fill a need that you can't fill yourself. So I think maybe in the future, depending on where I end up living, which I don't know where, I'll have to maybe even partner with someone or just employ someone.
Yeah. I mean, even just getting a second angle, it makes a big difference, I think. It just makes it look a lot more professional.
Doubles the price.
Production, but it doubles the production value as well.
Yeah.
Is there an angle or something that you want to do for surf videography that you haven't done that you're kind of keen on, like trying to get?
Oh, I feel it's almost like everything's done. I'd love to get some.
We always say that, though.
I know. I'd love to get some good airs on camera looking down the beach. You know how we always see it from front on?
Yeah.
I've never done a good air when we're filming like from down the beach.
So do you mean behind the surfer or down the line of the wave?
So the surfer's
it's going towards you.
Yeah.
You need the right spot for that,
I think so. You need the right spot. You need the right camera. You need the right distance and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And sort of freeze frame, get some good freeze frames on that. There's a couple of spots back in South Australia that can do that, but
yeah, so you'd almost need a wave that goes towards shore or maybe a rock shelf would be better.
Yeah, like a point. But it breaks towards the point.
Have you surfed White Rock here?
No, not yet. That's a long reef wave, right?
Yeah, it's on the north side of the long reef.
Yeah.
it's not a secret spot.
I don't really come up this way because we've got so many nice waves.
How
up
funny
where
is that? Yeah.
I kind of don't do it.
It's such a Northern Beaches thing.
Yeah.
But the reason why I mentioned White Rock, it's left and it breaks. It breaks kind of in towards the channel, and you can stand basically on land on the rock shelf at low tide, and you can film straight back out into it.
Aussie riders surf that wave a few times.
Maybe
I've seen clips of that.
I have surfed it a few times.
I suck doing airs on my backhand. I'm so bad on my backhand doing airs.
I'll be the backhand for you.
Yeah.
It's a nice wave to film though. It looks good.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, there's so many cinematic waves around here that don't get filmed.
Yeah.
You know.
What was it like? This is a question. What was it like being someone from Adelaide and then moving to the Northern Beaches and then creating this YouTube channel where you just film all these breaks? And do you get shit from locals?
Nah. Well, we never named them until today. Thanks, Kim.
Don't worry. We've got about 42. No, I always say 42 listeners. We probably have 100. So half of which, so.
I think... no, it's been fine. I mean, I knew a bunch of the surfers up here before I moved, so that was always easy. And then we just never named spots. So all the Sydney beaches look the same. You film them unless you've been there, you know it really well. They all look the same. I can't even tell when someone's filming at a beach. I'm like, is that the same? You know, like dark rock cliff and then mansions on it. It's like, it's all the same.
Yeah, and it's Sydney.
It's Sydney, right?
Like, how secret is it going to be?
Yeah. It's never going to be that secret.
There's a couple of novelty waves, but after you live here for a while, you're still learning new stuff about which waves work in different conditions. Yeah. I always find it funny during winter because we get the big south swells and then you're waiting for the right wind and then like, oh, this wave is working.
Yeah. It is funny
but
what
there's still
happens.
40 people on it.
It's like if you see consistent conditions for a week and then what happens? I always look for those little windows now. I just experienced one this week that was bliss because of consistent south swells, you know.
I was jealous. I had to go to work. I haven't been much in the water. Yeah. We actually, so I just came back from the Maldives quite recently, and we were on this amazing boat, like not a luxury boat. It was kind of a perfect boat for our trip. Not too expensive, but everything was just good enough, like showers and etc. And they just ran aground, hit a reef, and it didn't sink, but half the boat is full of water, and they're just trying to fix it now. So you just... I'm
meant to be going on a coaching trip next year there.
To the Maldives?
Yeah, I've been invited to go along for free just in exchange to do some coaching.
Someone to film?
I think they've organised some cheap local labour.
Ask them if they want to swap them
some
out.
Some cheap Australian labour.
Yeah, for sure. Who are you travelling with?
That one will be with a new board sponsor.
Okay. So the board sponsor is sending you.
Yeah. And so we'll go and get a bunch of content and do some coaching at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Has YouTube kind of opened up that gate for you with sponsors? And everything?
I mean, I used to ride for some companies back when I was younger, but I don't think I was ever going to go pro. And I think they knew that, you know. So I was always reflective, like the level of sponsorship. And then when I worked at Network 10, I got some endorsement stuff. And then now it's sort of open up. I feel like my surfing has improved so much since moving up here and surfing every day. Yeah. I feel like I can warrant a sponsorship a lot more now. And then you add on, you know, the 60,000 followers or whatever. And you can
all the views you're getting on YouTube.
Yeah, you can sort of justify it a lot more. So it's just finding companies who appreciate the social media stuff and want to work with you, you know.
And even what you said before, that you're getting people from Sydney wanting to do coaching with you. If you organized a trip to the Maldives, you'd easily sell 10 spots for that through your YouTube channel.
I'm sure. I mean, I haven't really... It's a lot of logistical stuff to organize a retreat and do all that sort of stuff. So this one, I'm just tagging on the back. I'm not making any money. I'd just go.
So is it a travel company that?
No, surfboard company.
Okay. So I've had James Casey on here as well. He's mainly a stand-up paddleboarder, but he does foil riding and everything as well. And he travels to the Maldives with Moon Tours. Oh, cool. And so he does kind of what you're similar, I think, to what you're saying you're doing. He coaches on the trip. Yeah. But Moon Tours just does everything. Yeah. That's probably what you don't want to do any more logistics from the sound.
No, I don't want to do logistics.
I agree. It's just
someone
a
else
headache.
can do that. Yeah, it is. If I can earn my living passively and have that safety net of passive income, which liberates me to follow creative stuff and challenge myself with just, you know,
Yeah.
with challenging creative stuff. I think that's perfect.
That's financial freedom pretty much.
Yeah, essentially.
That's what everyone dreams about.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get there as well. For sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you have coming up? I know one thing, which is what we talked about, the longevity film. Can you let the listeners know what's happening there with the tour release, why they should go and see it, and how they can see it?
Yeah, I mean, the film is being run pretty much around Australia, and then we've got options for people to screen it internationally as well. And they can do that. They can host it themselves through FanForce, which is essentially like an on-demand screening option.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool actually.
Digital, hey?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So we'll do that initially. We'll probably do some California ones in February next year.
How many stops do you have in Australia so far?
25 or something like that. Yeah.
Are you going to go to all of them?
Those ones, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's quite a few. There's like 5 around Sydney. So you tick off a lot there. There's maybe 10 in New South Wales. And then I sort of chip along. I've got some weddings to attend. I was tied in with events. Otherwise, I wouldn't attend the wedding. So I always like tie things in. And we'll go to Melbourne, do 4 or 5 around Melbourne.
Yeah.
Perth, 3 or 4 there, and sort of go everywhere. Darwin.
Wow.
Tasmania next year.
It's literally a national tour.
It's a national tour.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's all on my website, just at kalebrock.com.
Yeah. I should also mention that is actually your name, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's probably an old joke for you, but this is going to be a new audience for you. Your name is Kale Brock.
The amount of people who actually, if I search, sometimes for whatever reason, I have to link someone to my website or whatever. I search my name on Google or whatever, Kale Brock, and the suggested search thing is Kale Brock real name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Kale Brock real name. So everybody asks me, that's not your real name. What's your real name? But 100% it's on my birth certificate. I even did a profile video showing my birth certificate. It says Kale Brock.
That's so funny.
And my grandma was like, said to mum, you can't call him that. It's a vegetable. But apparently it was the only name on my dad's list of names that mum was like, yeah, that's fine. I think he had all these bizarre names like Blaze and I don't know.
Blaze.
Fire.
I think Kale. Kale's probably way better.
All these intense names.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I had to double check because I made a little sign there for it.
I did see that. It's very special.
So, but when I did it, I was writing it up and I was like, is his name actually Kale Brock? And
Brock is almost broccoli, right? Such a cruciferous name. Yeah. And then to be in the health space is...
You went down that route.
Wow.
Yeah. It worked out really well.
You got to own it on socials.
I was going to ask before, is there certain areas in Australia that takes a bigger interest into the type of movies that you've been making with the Gut movie and the longevity film?
Perth is huge.
Perth?
Yeah. Wow. It's one of my biggest audiences in Perth. Okay. I think they get starved of, they're almost, because they're so separated geographically, they feel like they're behind. So going there has always been, people have been so appreciative of me going there.
Yeah.
So they fill up events so super quick. Melbourne's massive as well. Adelaide's massive because I grew up there and I think my network just choose to support me, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Perth and Melbourne, huge. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sydney's really slow for some reason. I think because people are too busy here. Honestly, I think that's it. And people don't want to get stuck in traffic, so they won't cross 4 suburbs to come to the cinema.
Well, that is the biggest challenge in Sydney. And that is a major reason why I say no to a lot of things is because I don't enjoy driving.
Yeah.
And that is a legit reason.
Yeah.
But do you have a screening on the Northern Beaches?
Yeah, we've got 2. We've got one in Avalon, one in Mona Vale. And then we've got one at the Ritz, Randwick.
Okay. Mona Vale it is.
Yeah.
I can't say no to that.
Oh, 100%. Sweet.
That's awesome. How many people are you getting to your biggest screenings? Are you getting like 100 or a couple of hundred?
1,000
1,000
in Melbourne, for the Gut movie. And based on current stats, we'll get the same.
Is that crazy?
It's weird, like having a cinema fill up. I almost thought, I saw the numbers on my phone. This is leading up to the Gut movie, and I was like, it can't be real.
1,000 people for a movie.
Yeah. It's like $25 a ticket or whatever, so it's like 25 grand in revenue in the one night, which is only a dent in what the film cost.
Yeah,
but you kind of go, wow.
I just think more. To me, the crazy part is that there's 1,000 people in one building watching your film.
And watching your face on screen.
Yeah.
You sort of I always sneak in the back and go, oh, I'm up there.
Yeah, and
And then there's a
you're
1,000
saying
people
stuff
sort of
and-
staring or laughing, and you're worried that they're not going to laugh in your little funny moments. And
mate, that must be the very best feeling must be when they're laughing of something that's funny in the movie.
it's
right?
good. The better feeling is when they laugh at you whilst you're on stage and you've said something funny. I can see
can
why
only imagine.
people are stand-up comedians, because that would be the most addictive job in the world.
It must be a massive kick, yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a feeling.
Yeah. And then how funny is it if, especially for someone at your level where you're at with YouTube, if you get 1,000 views on your movie, on your video there, you'd be like, this is terrible.
Whatever.
How weird is that?
It is weird. It is weird. But that for me reiterates the need we have for tangible in-person connection. When you look into someone's eyes, you get that neurochemical release of oxytocin or whatever. That is so much more powerful than numbers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre to me, because if 1,000 people laugh at your joke at live, you're on stage, you'd be like, this is the best day of my life. If 1,000 people laugh at your YouTube video, but they're all at separate places and it's only 1,000, it's like, this is
and you get one negative comment and you're like, that's it. I'm retiring. I'm out.
It's all over. This is bullshit.
100%.
Yeah. And you think about that negative comment.
Yeah, and you're like, man, I wish that guy I wish he liked me a little bit more.
Yeah, that's so funny. Actually, one of the videos that on my YouTube channel that I've got most views of is a really old training video of me doing 30 muscle-ups for time.
Oh, nice.
And they're terrible muscle-ups. And there's actually a lot of comments, but they're all negative. I think maybe there's 100 comments. And they're all just like, what is this guy doing? He's just flailing around like an idiot. And I am flailing around like an idiot.
Are you doing the weird CrossFit?
Yeah, that's right. And this is early days as well. Yeah. So, but it's funny. I really don't care.
This is the thing. Someone's always going to not like you. And I think if everybody likes you, you're probably not doing anything worthwhile.
And I think everyone that comments and takes time out of the day to comment negative on that stuff, they've got an issue.
Exactly. So can you be that bored to rip on someone who's uploaded a video to YouTube?
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Kale, thanks a lot. That was really enjoyable. It was really fun.
Thanks
Hopefully
for having me.
You had a good time. I'll have to have you back on, I think, at some point, either after the longevity film has been out, or it depends if you move around or you become a big movie star, then we'll definitely invite you back on. But yeah, that was really fun.
We'll see. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Kale.